All right. Well, first of all, welcome to my awful basement nightmare. But we're talking about this hot water tank here that was here when I got this house, and I got it to light one time, and then I got my basement kind of flooded, took out some water, just up to a little bit there, and now it won't light. But another problem is I suspect it to be leaking because I had some water puddling up over where it was. But that might be from the foundation. It's still wet over there. I can't tell, but I'm gonna pressure test it just to double check. And the cool thing is, this is still under warranty. This is just about six. Well, it's 5 years old. They have a 6-year warranty on these, and apparently the warranty transfers to whoever owns it or whatever house it's in. So I'm actually kind of hoping it's leaking because then I can probably talk to a dealer and get them to get me a warranty and get a brand new one. So let's pressure test this and find out. So to pressure test this thing, I'm going to use this. It's a dual chuck tire inflator with dial gauge from Harbor Freight or Horrible Freight, whatever you want to call it. I used this to pressure test gas lines in another video on here. Same exact thing. And I got a couple fittings that'll allow us to do this. We're going to need a 3/4 inch cap to close one of these up. That's what this is. It's a 3/4 inch cap. And then I got a 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer. And finally got a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch thread bushing. And that will allow us to reduce it and just screw that dial gauge right into here. I'm going to start by putting some thread tape on here, on this, just to make sure it's sealed up. Alright, this is actually gas thread tape, but we're just doing air, so that's fine for right now. You always want to put your thread tape on the same way that you're threading something on. So imagine that you're screwing it on. I'm just going to thread this cap on here. Tighten this cap down. Don't go crazy, just get it snug. Alright, that's good, probably. Yeah, that's good. So we got that on there snug. Now we're going to do the same thing with the 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch and another fitting. Alright, we got the cap on one of the inlets, and then we got our 3/4 to 1/2 inch reducer plus a 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch bushing on the other here. And you can see on the tire inflator, the output will thread right into that. So that's what we're going to do. Alright. We're all hooked up. Alright, I'm going to plug my air compressor into this here. See, alright. Start filling it up. Okay, so we got this water tank up to about 20 psi. You know, they rate these on the side. It's 150 psi working pressure, 300 psi burst. So we're pretty safe at 20. And I gotta tell you, the water pressure where I live is so high that it pops the safety valve. Even when the water heater wasn't heating, here's the safety valve. You can see over here, it would pop this, and I even replaced it with a new one because I thought the one that was on there was faulty. So our water pressure here must be 40 psi. I don't know, 50 psi, whatever that thing's rated at, because it would pop. It just let a little out, and that was without the hot water tank even being hot. So we're at 20. I'm gonna let it sit for at 20 and see if it goes down over probably a matter of a couple hours or so. Alright guys, so after about 2 hours, what I ended up doing is I pumped it up to 30 psi. I know I said 20, but I just went ahead and went up to 30 off camera here. And I'm trying to get a good shot for you. It's real hard to see, but it looks like we dropped a PSI here. It's about a PSI loss. Yeah, about a PSI. And just to double check, I used some leak detector stuff, which is basically just soap and some water, essentially. You know, put it around all my fittings, all these connections, and just to be doubly sure, I even put it around this release valve, even around the top of this hose where this hose is clamped, where it's clamped here. And it doesn't, the valve is here, but just to be sure that valve's not leaking, I put some down here to make sure this isn't leaking either. And to be doubly sure, I put some in here too, and even down at the other valve. And I have no leaks at any of those points. So the fact that it dropped the PSI is kind of telling me it does have a leak. So that's not good. Well, it's good because I can get a warranty now. Hopefully I can find a dealer that will hook me up with a warranty on this. Well, that's really the gist of how to pressure test your water heater, or really any sort of tank, air compressor tank, portable air compressor tank. Maybe you have a really old hot water heater that you want to know if you can still use, or if it leaks. You maybe suspect it leaks a little bit, or whatever. You got one secondhand. That's how you do it. And this tire inflator makes it real easy, because the same point you fill it is also the dial indicator. Now, suppose you don't have one of these, but you just have a dial indicator. You could very easily, it would take more adapters, but you could put the dial indicator over here. You would need to step it down to 1/4 inch, just like this, and then you could actually probably thread your air compressor hose right onto one side and fill it up that way. But you would need a valve or something too, or just, if like my air compressor has a regulator on it, I could probably set that to the PSI I want, and it'll just fill it right up and stop there. So there's a couple different ways to do it. This makes it really easy. And if it's not super hot, look, it's still dropping here. It's about down to PSI and a half now. But if it's not super crazy leaking, it's not super obvious, like this one wasn't. I do believe it is leaking, but you want to go and check all your threads and everything, all your connections, to make sure you're not getting any leaks there before you conclude that it is leaking. But I really do think that this thing is leaking. Even though it's only 30 psi, it's a pretty large quantity of air.